Hey, everybody. Welcome to Clear Path Leadercast. We do this live every Thursday at 5 Eastern, and I'm excited to have you join us today as people kind of come on. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you have comments on the video, especially on the Facebook side, I'll be able to see those comments. If you have any questions as we go through, feel free to drop those in the comments, and I'll try and address them before I finish up for the day. And I won't be able to see your name unless you've approved StreamYard to be part of your feed. So it's fine. I'll just see it. I just won't be able to mention you by name. But if you do approve StreamYard into your Facebook, I'll actually be able to see your name as you post any comments, similarly on YouTube as well. So look forward to talking to you guys today. Today, we are going to be talking about how to build a culture of accountability in your organization. It is so crucial to do this. When we don't have solid accountability structures in our business and we treat people differently, we hold some people to a level of accountability we don't hold other people to, or we have differential levels of what we think accountability is on our leadership team underneath us, we start to get really crosswise with people, trying to understand what's important and what's not, because people will do what they're held accountable for. And I don't mean this to be a negative thing. As we talk about accountability, that is something that I always struggled with. One of my struggles as a leader was holding people accountable, because accountability conversations always felt to me like a crucial conversation or a criticism or something more importantly that had potential for conflict. And I am not a person who likes conflict. I try to avoid conflict at all costs. So when you view accountability as conflict, you get kind of this weird scenario going on. And you have to realize that building a culture of accountability actually reduces the opportunity for accountability to be conflict. People don't mind being held accountable when objectives are clear, when feedback is given immediately, and when they have an opportunity to check in and get help for things that they're working on, where they need that help is for things that they're working on. So we really want to talk today about how to build a culture of accountability where it's just a normal course of business. It's not a negative thing or a positive thing. What it is something we all have a responsibility to either provide feedback to or receive feedback about, so that we can help the overall company succeed, so we can help our careers succeed. And that's what we're really talking about when we talk about a culture of accountability. So again, we try and keep these Clear Path Leadercast to about 15 minutes. So we'll dive right in. Thing one to talk about when we talk about creating a culture of accountability is setting clear expectations. And this seems so obvious, but it's a tricky thing. Sometimes in our head, we think we've been very clear with our teams about what we expect for them to do. But that's not always the case. We need to really work on getting clear goals outlined, one, for the very top of the organization, so people have a context for what's important and why the work they're doing actually matters every day. So we, as the leaders, be that business owner, CEO, executive, leader of a team, have to be really clear about what expectations are. So we want to go over those. We are going to have to go over them more than once. And then as we work to identify them at the top, then we work our way down through the organization. So we start to create the goals for the people underneath us about how they want to do things. We want to create clear goals because that helps the teammates get aligned. We want them, they want to succeed. So they want to see exactly what success looks like. So getting really clear. I get less involved, and this may be different if you think about situational leadership model. People who are early in the company, you probably do have to be very prescriptive about how they do their job. But over time, with experience of the people, you can actually just set the goals for them and let them achieve them within the confines of time and delivery and what you want the final project to look like. So it's really important to know your people. And then once they are working well, just free them to achieve the objective in the way that they want to get it done, as long as we're clear about what the outcomes are. So we want to work with the team to help them understand what their goals are, how they're going to be measured, how they're going to be held accountable. And also, if you really want to build it into context, show them how it's going to align with the larger goals of the organization. So we want to create annual goals at the company level, department level, and personal level. And we want to start tracking scorecards so we can share that feedback on our progress on a regular basis. And that shifts into the second piece that I want to talk about today, is the importance of regular and timely feedback. One of the most awkward situations I ever had was, I was very young in my career, and I think what I did was I read something upside down on a client's desk, which probably wasn't the best thing, but I was fairly young. And I knew it was wrong. And, but I had told my boss, hey, that I saw this, and it was wrong, definitely in retrospect. But I didn't hear anything about that from my boss until about 5 months later at a conference, walking into a hotel. And he says, hey, you remember that? That was really wrong. Well, that time distance is too far for anybody to get feedback that's actionable and workable and that I can actually do something about. So then all I'm left with is, for 5 months, this guy thought I was a terrible, unethical person, and I'm just now hearing about it. So timely and regular feedback is an essential part of building that accountability culture within your organization. We don't want to look at it as a consequence, this timely feedback, but it's an opportunity for improvement. Feedback, both positive feedback and negative feedback, is that opportunity for improvement for our employees. So we want to give that feedback as quickly as possible. We don't want to wait. When we see something being done wrong or something being done right, we want to address it right away. I put in the blog this week, Jack Welch, and if you ever read Jack Welch's, some of his books, the culture he created, it was definitely accountability culture. There's a little bit of shaming culture in that too, because he loved to do the accountability and feedback sessions in groups so that everybody could learn from the mistakes of others. And there may be a place for that in an organization, but you really have to think about what that means for your organization. If you're publicly going to correct people in front of large groups, that, you're going to have to look at your people, look at yourself, and see how you want to handle that. There are ways you can do that are going to be uplifting and growth oriented for everyone on the team, but that's a very slippery slope into a shaming. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that you're actually doing it with the intent of helping everybody develop and helping everybody grow. So again, we want it to be feedback that's positive and negative, but always we want it to be constructive. Whether it's what went well or how could we have handled this better, what we want to do is say, hey, look, we want this organization to succeed. We're driving long-term success. So this feedback is important and crucial for us to do it. So timely feedback, positive and negative. We have this culture and it's shifting of, well, I only give, the feedback on the annual review. Oh my God, if you just find out about feedback at the end of the annual review, that's a nightmare. And that's just the worst thing you could do to people. So that kind of moves us into where those opportunities to do it. If you aren't comfortable doing it right in the moment, or you want to think about how you want to provide feedback on perhaps something they need to do better, make sure you create an environment where you do have timely meetings. So I really encourage people to think about holding timely one-to-ones, maybe even every week with your team. So a few ways that I look at this one-to-one. It doesn't have to be an hour. Nobody has time for an hour meeting. An hour meeting is just a long meeting. So it can probably be 15 to 30 minutes. But you want to schedule these one-on-one opportunities with your team. And there's really two things that you want to get done in this. Is one, you want this to be partially set for an agenda by the team member whom you're meeting with. Have them give you an update on what's going on, what's going well, what they feel is not going well, and where they might need help. And then the other side of that conversation is, to the extent you need to provide feedback, to provide that constructive criticism or positive feedback to say, hey, this was really well. I enjoyed the way you did that. That was, that's how I'd like to see things get done. Either way, build that feedback opportunity into that one-to-one conversation. Having that time on the calendar for you to meet one-to-one with the employee is so crucial, because you have to be very intentional about getting these sessions in to provide feedback, to receive the updates, which is a slightly different conversation than accountability culture. But we want to make sure that we have that opportunity or a forum where maybe we want to provide the feedback in more of a private space, that we've created that opportunity. So those are really the ways to start to build that culture of accountability. One, setting clear expectations with your team so they always know what's important. They understand the goals at the high level for the department or division, and then for they themselves individually. And you want to not only help them understand that so they can be accountable to those goals, but also from a larger picture of helping them understand how their role ties into the larger goals. So they know when you're holding them accountable for this one thing, you're actually doing it in the context of the larger company succeeding. So it's a really important piece to think about, is helping everyone see here's the goals, here's the expectations at different levels, and here's how you contribute. That's why I need to hold you accountable to these things, because it is very important. And also within that context, providing more or less direction relative to the capacities and experience of the person on the team. The more experienced they are, the more they've shown they can get it done. You can probably let up on how much detail you need to do about telling them how to do the thing. But if they're very new, or it's very new to them, you're probably going to want to be more involved in that discussion. The second piece is about providing timely and regular feedback. Don't let things linger. Bad news doesn't age well. Probably the greatest tidbit of wisdom I got from one of my bosses once, that problems don't age well. A lot of times we view feedback as a negative feedback, especially or opportunities for improvement, as a conflict situation. They're not. It's just really I need you to succeed. I want you to succeed. I'm invested in you. I need to give you this feedback so you can do better. So make sure that the feedback, both positive and negative, is very timely and immediate, within as close to the circumstance either way as it can be. And then 3, create that opportunity for timely and regular feedback by scheduling one-to-one meetings with your team members, so that you can have that opportunity to give them that feedback and also to get the input from them. When you build that culture of accountability, everyone looks around. When people see people are being held accountable, they know that they have to perform at their highest level of effort as well. Where you get into trouble in accountability is where people are held to differing standards of accountability. When somebody sees somebody over here getting away with something that somebody over here isn't getting away with, that's where you start to create that conflict in your team and conflict in your organization. And that's not healthy for you for the long haul. So I really want to encourage you all to think about how I can provide this feedback. Don't think about negative feedback or opportunities for improvement as a negative, as a conflict situation. It's an opportunity to grow, because you're invested in the success not only of the company, but of the members of your team, because that rising tide will lift the company faster towards your goals. So that's it for this week. Didn't see any questions or comments. If you're catching this on the replay, or you're not catching this live and you have some questions, just drop in a hashtag replay. Let me know the question and I'll drop in and answer any questions that you guys have. Got some exciting things coming up overall at Clear Path Coaching and Consulting. For those of you who are in leadership roles, look for some announcements next week about a pretty exciting new opportunity that I'm going to have, some training opportunities for folks. And if there's anything I can do to help you achieve your goals more quickly, please reach out. Please schedule some time to talk to me. You can always find time just by clicking the link right there on the website to set up time at clearpathcoaches.com, and we'll get a time set up. Thanks, everybody. Hope you all have a great week and a great weekend and a great Memorial Day weekend. Thanks all. Bye-bye.